So in today's podcast, I think we've got a really great topic to discuss, which I find myself thinking about all the time, and that is, should you pay off your home mortgage? I'm talking about your primary residence. Should you pay that off? Now, I'm going to preface this by saying we're Dave Ramsey's original endorsed local providers for real estate services here in Utah. We've been with this team since 2007. We are so committed to a lot of those Dave Ramsey principles. I would say we agree with Dave probably 85-90% of the time. And
I agree with you 100% of the time, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah. When it comes to paying off your home mortgage, I think it's really important. And I'm really proud of you, Jared, because you and your wife made that such a priority. Tell us maybe just a little bit about that journey on what you guys accomplished.
Well, it was a goal that we had, and Dave talks about getting gazelle intense. And so we got into a position, we'll talk about maybe the timing of paying off your mortgage. We got ourselves into a position financially to then be able to attack our mortgage. And so we paid off the remaining $250,000 balance that we had on that mortgage within about 4.5 years.
Man.
And that took about $4,300 a month dedicated to attacking that mortgage.
Yeah. Are you paying yourself more than you're paying me? Because I'm not sure if I could have made that happen, but that's impressive to be able to do that. And to be, I think you were 39 or 40 when you did that.
Yeah.
Huge benefit. Now, my wife and I are trying to do the same thing. I'm about ready to send in a huge chunk of change.
And I'm not convincing him, but we're having this discussion.
Should I do it?
Should you do that? And that's the...
You certainly don't regret paying off your primary residence.
Not at all.
I think what really matters, and maybe other people feel the same way, if you had your home free and clear, could you be a more aggressive investor?
Oh.
And let me just tell you that Jared and I invest in a lot of properties, and we don't always consult our wives, and that's not a really good thing.
Heather's gotten to the point she just doesn't care.
Well, my wife says,
she cares because our bathroom needs to be remodeled.
That's true.
And I'm remodeling the heck out of all these homes all the time.
Well, that's true too.
And she's like, "Where's my bathroom remodeled?"
Yeah, and you were so intense on getting focused on getting your home free and clear that you didn't do maybe some of the projects that you'd like to do along the way. So now it's time to do that. You got to do that. Yeah. But my wife always says, "Hey, our home isn't owned free and clear, and so why are you guys investing in all this real estate?" And so and it's a very valid question. Sure. So if you if you want to feel really good at night, and you knew that you had your home free and clear, and your spouse, who may not be on the same journey as you are in terms of investing in real estate yet, maybe you pay that thing off.
Yeah. And
then you just feel a little bit more freedom to do what you want.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you would be capable. You could send in a check and pay off your mortgage. You're there. I just am only saying, hey, this is selfish because I have my mortgage paid off and you don't. I'm saying, hey, let's use that money maybe to invest in some other deals. But there's some real pros and there's some cons. This is an individual thing for everybody. It's very personal. But I think, one of the pros is obviously to eliminate that monthly payment.
Right.
So now Heather and I are in a situation where we're saying, okay, what can we do with this? It was our mortgage payment was only $1,350, but we were paying $3,000 a month extra. Yeah. So what can we do with this $4,300 a month now? And we've been spending it. You'll find ways to spend it, but it's just nice not to have that monthly payment in our budget.
Well, we talk a lot about cash flow and creating cash flow for yourself. And the way I can look at maybe paying off your mortgage is that there's a tremendous cash flow you can create right there. Yeah. So if you had $100,000 left on your mortgage, you think, should I get really, really gazelle intense on maybe paying this off? Then maybe you should, because you just created if your payment were $1,400, you just create a $1,400 cash flow by paying that off. Yeah. That's a pretty good deal, I think.
Well, we've taken that money and we did remodel our exterior, put a new roof on. So we're doing some projects around the house, but we've done some nice trips.
Yeah.
We've paid for some nice things for our kids, a private school. We've paid for a really great opportunity for my daughter who just graduated high school to go to Ecuador for 12 weeks, work in an orphanage. Not a cheap experience, but we hope it's going to be life-changing for her. We've also been able to help a lot of other people, too, with that money. So we've been giving some money and helping some family members and things like that. And we're in a position to do that now because our mortgage is paid off. So, opening up that cash flow in your budget every month is tremendously powerful and is a great tool to build wealth.
Well, it is. And, some people say, why would I pay off my mortgage? Because I get these great tax benefits. Well, you can create a tax benefit by giving that money to charity instead of your lender, right? So that's something really important to consider.
Well, you're paying the bank thousands of dollars to not pay the government a few $1,000s. So that's not a great argument for it. But, another pro really is if you look at an amortization schedule, and many of you have, and you and I have analyzed those and looked at those for years, and you look at how much you pay over the life of the loan in interest, it is staggering.
Yeah.
Your jaw just drops.
Well, it's particularly amazing when you just look at the first 10 years because those mortgages they're all front loaded. The interest is paid mostly up front.
So, Heather and I have saved ourselves, well over $100,000 by paying this off early rather than, letting the amortization take its course. So, that's a really great pro of paying that off. Dave Ramsey says the grass is greener when your home mortgage is paid for. You sleep better at night. And I'll be honest, it is. I think we have felt a real sense of satisfaction in owning this home. Like our home it's more homely to us. Like we just feel like this is where we're going to be for a while, and we love our home. And I think that really has come about a lot in getting this mortgage paid off, and then of course being able to do that nice upgrade that we did to our exterior and some of these other things we're planning on doing. So I think that's a great pro there.
Once you have your home free and clear, and let's say you were making crazy payments like you were making, how fast now with no mortgage payment could you save up for a down payment on a rental property?
We could do that in a year. We could be buying another rental property just based on that. You and I are buying them more aggressively than that, but just based on that savings every year, we could probably buy another rental property. So it's again, you're increasing the size of your shovel that Dave Ramsey talks about to build wealth, and by getting rid of that mortgage payment. Now, this is kind of one that is obviously intuitive, but you're lowering your risk of losing your home. That is a big fear for a lot of people, and I've had that fear as well, that, we make a mistake, we do a bad deal, the economy goes south, and we lose our home. And we saw a lot of our friends, a lot of acquaintances go through that when 2008 hit. They lost their home to foreclosure, to short sale, and that terrible sort of thing. And so, if you don't pay your taxes, you never completely own your home. But, having that mortgage paid off in a bad case scenario, bad economy, loss of job, medical issues, even a loss of spouse, how would it be to somebody dies, a husband dies, or the breadwinner dies, whether that's the wife or the husband, and the other spouse can no longer afford to live there. That's so sad to me. Yeah. And so, it's certainly lowering your risk of being foreclosed on. Okay. So those are some pros. There's others.
Yeah. Well, another thing that's worth discussing is when people pay off their mortgage, they worry, well, what happens if there is an emergency of some sort? When you have a home free and clear, it is cash in the bank, but not really. So how do you make it a little bit more liquidable? How do you free up some of those funds?
Yeah, so it's not that equity is not liquid. So when you pay off your home mortgage, whether you completely pay it off or you're paying extra towards your principal every month, you're reducing your liquidity. And that is a con. And that's why and we'll talk hopefully here in just a minute about when to pay off your home mortgage. But reducing your liquidity can be really scary. All right, so that's a real con there. And then the cons, of course, that everybody talks about, your financial advisor talks about, is the opportunity cost
Right.
with that money. What could my wife and I have done with that extra $3,000 a month that we were putting towards the principal? We could have saved up for additional rental properties. We could have put it into retirement accounts. We could have put it into stocks and probably realized a better gain on that money than the cost of the mortgage. Our mortgage interest rate, I think, was 3.8% or something like that. Ridiculously low, right? And so that's why a lot of financial advisors are going to say, don't pay off your home mortgage. I can get you a return that's much greater than your
you're paying
rate.
3.5% on your mortgage, and he thinks he could make 10% on your money, and therefore you make that spread of 6.5%.
I think it's risky, though, to borrow money to try to invest, right?
I think so, too. Yeah.
In a certain sense. I mean, and that's what you're doing with the bank. And debt really is a bet on your future ability to pay back that money. And so it's all, again, it's a bet, it's a gamble, it's risk. And so that's why we do want to eliminate debt, reduce debt, pay off debt.
Yeah. Well, for me, it is psychologically, I'd feel so much better if I had my home free and clear. So, I'm going to do that in the next couple of years. I built a home in 2008. And it's our dream home, and we're pretty. It's a pretty nice home.
It's a beautiful home.
So I've got to get that paid off, and I will shortly. But for me, it's psychologically, it just is something that I really want to do, and I'll feel so much more comfortable. That's probably what I would advise people to do.
Yeah, and you and I did too. We undertook this project 3 years ago where we started construction on our cabin, and I just did not want to borrow money on something that's not an income-producing property.
Right.
So when we've bought land and some of these other types of deals that don't generate an income, we've paid cash. Yeah. And so we began to build that cabin, and that's why it took us 2.5 years with cash. Yeah. During that same time period, had we spent that money on more properties, we might have done better. But I just hate to think about having a big mortgage on a second home that we don't use as often as we'd like to, and have those expenses out there. And so, this is kind of something that goes back and forth in my mind all the time, is being out of debt, which we are, or using leverage and playing these games with bank financing and things like that. So let me just say a couple of more things here. I really think Dave Ramsey's baby steps are powerful, okay? And I really think he's got them in the right order. So he's got 6 baby steps and 6 or 7. I wouldn't even start paying off your mortgage until you obviously have your other debt paid off, right? Because your student loans, credit card, car payments are probably going to be at a higher interest rate than your mortgage. Most people's mortgage is between 3.5% and 5.5%. So that is very inexpensive money. So pay off your other debt, just like Dave Ramsey says. Then he wants you to have 3 to 6 months worth of cash. We need to have 6 to 12 months worth of cash. That's what I feel most comfortable with. And then Dave Ramsey's baby step is to then set up a certain percentage of your income every month going towards investments. So you should be funding retirement accounts if that's what your strategy is to meet your retirement goals. We have invested other money at the same time I was paying off the mortgage, at the same time we were building the cabin. We'd invested other money in real estate. So we have been doing that along the way. It's then at that point that I would start to get serious about paying off your mortgage. But if you don't have the cash in the bank, you don't have your other debts paid off, you don't have some habit either to save or to invest a certain percentage, I would not pay off your mortgage or begin that process. Would you agree with that, or would you disagree?
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, that makes the most sense to people. And so, get intense. Set a goal.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great goal for my wife and I to achieve. We did this also, by the way, at a time when real estate sales were great. In other words, our income's been great. So I felt very optimistic in doing that. If I was trying to pay off that mortgage when sales were down and the economy maybe was down, I may never have achieved that goal, but we've been able to achieve that while the economy is good and we're feeling optimistic. And so I think for that reason, it's been really important. I hope some of these thoughts have been helpful. Again, we're available as usual to talk to and consult with and maybe talk through your situation. But we are very big about getting out of debt, and I think having your mortgage paid off mentally and psychologically is going to prove to be a great decision for you in whatever goals you may have.